to express that truth, be able to show up as our most authentic selves, even in a world that isn't moving that way. Hi, my friends. Perspective here. In the previous episode, we spoke about vibration, polarity, rhythm, and cause and effect. So using the simple example, we had spoken about how vibration is really just the principle that everything in life moves, everything is in constant motion. Polarity builds off of that, reminding us that everything has two polar ends, good and bad, this and that, hot and cold. The ability to see the same experience as whether having a happier outlook towards it or having a more sad outlook or having a lighter outlook or a denser outlook really tells us about polarity being extreme degrees, extreme points within the same essence. Across those extreme points, you have varying degrees of the same thing. Now, the extreme points here are the polarity. And then from polarity, we move to rhythm. Rhythm puts together the concepts vibration and polarity, telling us that a rhythm exists because there is a vibration from one polar end of the same thing to the other polar end of the thing. And that's why we talk about seasons, how we could go from summer to fall, fall to winter, like that. So it goes from one end to the other end, and then there is a rhythm that we experience in life. And the whole point of this is to remind us that yes, there's a rhythm that life goes with, but we could also have our own rhythm to determine where we want to fix our polarity at, how we choose to perceive the same thing from different ends. And then finally, we talk about cause and effect. Cause and effect introduces that within the context of rhythm that vibrates from one end of polarity to the other, there is cause and effect. I use the example of water and how the temperature of water changes, and essentially what happens for the temperature to change from hot or cold, which are in this sense the polar ends of water. When we're measuring the temperature of water, it's the same water, it just has varying degrees from hot or cold for us to then say, oh, this is cold water or hot water. But what's happening behind the scenes, what is the cause of this said effect, which is the temperature, is the vibratory motion of the particles of water. So here we see that vibration is the cause, and the temperature, which are again the varying degrees, the rhythm of the temperature is the effect. Now, in this case, we create a parallel between vibration and cause and effect such that we're able to change the effect that we hope to see. Say, for instance, we have one experience. Instead of having that experience having a negative effect on us, we could change it and have that experience give us a positive effect once we're able to go back to the cause of the emotion. Why do we even feel the way we feel about this experience? And we spoke about the multiple planes and how the mental plane is a cause and the emotional plane becomes the effect, because that's what happens behind the scenes. If we're able to change the thoughts that we have towards something, if we're able to change our belief systems, which are deeply rooted in our subconscious about that thing, then we have successfully caused the effect of happiness, right? If we're having happier thoughts, if we're able to see the benefits of that thing and have unconditional love to that thing, then of course it suddenly tweaks the entire effect, because now we have this on a higher vibration versus having it on a denser vibration of our mind. And the higher vibration of our mind just points towards the more liberating, freer thoughts, happier thoughts of unconditional love. And the denser one would be like the shameful thoughts, or thoughts about rejection, thoughts about scarcity, thoughts about fear, lower themes of consciousness. We're able to bring all these concepts together, the vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, to transmutation. We're exploring how transmutation is just being able to go from one polar end to the other polar end that we choose, regardless of how life moves. But how do I transmute, transform negative feeling, this negative emotion, to having a more happy outlook towards this? What you're going to do is go back a little bit. You can choose to be excited about it based on the belief systems that we have. My belief systems are made up of thoughts that I can do anything I set my mind to, that I would always be fine regardless, that I am enough, that I am worthy of trying new things just because I exist, that my unique talents and gifts would never actually be in their full potential if I do not try. If I believe that I have unconditional love for everything, so regardless of, like, it's all good. Those are thoughts that make up the belief system that would make me feel less scared and more excited. This is the knowledge that I have come to, and that's deep down rooted in my belief system. It's deeply rooted because that is my truth. And why is that my truth? Because I have acted in that way. I have been able to carry out actions, because again, the end product of a belief system is action. So for a belief to be rooted, for it to even exist, it has to end up as an action. And you can also see that the action is an effect of the belief system that is a cause. But yet again, the emotion is an effect of the belief system that is a cause. Thoughts make up that belief system, and all those thoughts, that's why we speak of the new narratives that would help you to change how you perceive the same experience. It changes the way that you see it. If you start seeing the thing from a more unconditionally loving perspective, and when I talk about unconditional love, I talk about being able to love everything as it is. You have no preferences. Because guess what? You decided that you were going to see the thing, remove your bias, see the thing, and see the benefits that could be of that thing. Nothing is inherently good or bad. Remember, two polar ends of the same thing. Good and bad is just how you choose to perceive it. Varying degrees of the same thing. It's your vibration, it's the vibration of your mind, it's the way that you choose to see it. Is your mind vibrating at a higher rate? Are you thinking happier thoughts? Are you thinking more freer thoughts? That's a higher rate of thinking. That's a more liberating way to think. Are you unconditionally loving to everything? Because love is the most freeing perspective, it's the most liberating rate of thinking. So where is your mind at? The thoughts that are the molecules of your mind, as in how the molecules of the water are vibrating at a certain degree, so that we have hot or cold. How are your thoughts moving? How light are your thoughts? How heavy are your thoughts? So now, are you gonna feel more excited because you're light, or are you gonna feel more fearful because the thoughts are heavy? Are you gonna feel more in your body because now you're weighed down by the thoughts? Or are you gonna feel lighter and more connected to the joy of the world and the goodness that exists regardless of? That's what we speak about when we talk about transformation, when we talk about transmutation. It's acknowledging that emotions are energy that are in constant motion. And just as life moves, things change, rhythm from one polar end to the other, from happy to sad. Today you wake up happy, tomorrow you wake up sad. Why? Maybe the cloud is gloomy, and now your mind has associated the gloominess of the sky with a dull mood. So now you wake up and you look outside and it's not sunny, and all of a sudden you feel dull. I'm calling myself out. That right there is a rhythm, and that's just how life changes. And as the rhythm occurs, as things move, are you going with the changes? And when I say go with the changes, do you have these options? Because guess what? If I wake up sad, but I know that I can take it backward to see, okay, what is the cause of this sadness? What is, I know that my mental state or my mental thought patterns are what is causing me to feel a certain way. So now I'm gonna change my thoughts because I know my thoughts are the cause and the emotions are the effect. So I know I'm going to change my thoughts. How am I seeing this thing? And how can I see it differently? Okay, unconditionally loving perspective. What does that mean? How can I love this morning? Thoughts about the weather. How can I have more loving thoughts towards the weather? And thoughts have to end at action, because if I think, oh, okay, I'm thinking nice things now, but then it doesn't land for me, even though I'm thinking nice things, I don't embody the the final goal of thinking nice things. I don't act. If I don't end up having a nice morning, then there's no point. So it's also asking, how does it go from the thoughts to actually embodying those thoughts, right? And we'll get there. But we're not there yet. So we're at this point where we know now that we can tweak things, we can play with these things. We know that they're cause and effect. We know that in this analogy I'm using about the emotions, we see how these thoughts that make up our belief system, that make up our mental construct, really are mapped towards certain emotions. And once we can tweak those thoughts, automatically the emotions are tweaked, because again, they are connected, cause and effect, key value. Our brain stores it like a dictionary. So when we see this play out, we can start to transform how we feel just by changing the stories that we tell ourselves, telling ourselves stories about how we love that thing, because we choose to see the loving benefit of that thing. We choose to see the advantage in that experience. Even though it's annoying, even though it's very uncomfortable, it teaches us something. And that's why I said, if there's nothing you get out of this, always remember there's always a lesson, there's always insight. And insight is very valuable. Data is very valuable. Like, you see how AI being trained on data, that's a whole thing. Data is very important. And you get to be your own AI, you can call it, because now you're retraining yourself. So, yeah. But that aside, I explained the vibration, how everything vibrates, everything moves. I also explained the different polarities of the same thing, of the same plane, of the same essence, the same emotion, the same response, the same action, the same mental chatter, mental chatter about the same thing. So things can either be this or that, right? But it's really geared towards the same thing. And it's more so saying, how can you change how you see that one thing that would then trigger a change in the response to that one thing? It's all a choice. That's what we're saying. And now you know that it's a choice. So do you play around with these concepts and see how that lands for you? It's a choice. So I was gonna say, We've talked about the vibration, the polarity, the rhythm, and how life would naturally move. But then you get to choose how to recalibrate yourself back. And when I speak of even as we go back into the world and knowing that we're on this journey, we're not of the world, but we have to be in the world and still show up as our truest selves, as our loving selves. So this is one way you're understanding yourself better, you're understanding the things that get to you the most, the things that bother you the most, and you're seeing how to, expand, because now you don't see it from one way alone. You see it as a